Hello everyone, this is DarkSpider34 and you're watching the Ultimatum commentary. I will get to the commentary everyone wants to listen to soon enough, but let's just get through these because you need the proper context before we can move on to those. Now, in the previous episode, Aunt May was kind of almost blown up. Well, she wasn't almost blown up. She inhaled a lot of uh, gases from that pumpkin bomb, and she's old and frail. Harry Osborn is a young person who can handle gas bombs, and Peter has spider powers. So Aunt May subsequently ends up in the hospital. Ultimately ends up in the hospital. My vocabulary is not that good. Okay, so obviously the screen on the TV doesn't really fit that well, but the thing is, whenever I exported that effect, the screen would always be off because Magic X Movie Edit Pro 15 is a buggy program. I do not recommend it. Gotta stop saying that word. So they're negotiating here because Fisk wants his formula done, so he kidnapped Harry, and he's like, "I want this thing by midnight, or I will kill your son." Damn it, I did it again. In this particular scene, Norman Osborn and Wilson Fisk are having a conversation about, they're talking about fear and how people will do anything that he says because he's afraid, and he can see the fear in Osborn's face, and he is very, very confident that he will do the same thing that everyone else has done. And he says something about his wife or his ex-wife, and I don't remember. Like, I think he threatened to kill her too, afterwards. Because, yeah, his wife divorced him, but does he still love her? Does he still love her? That's what I was going at, but you couldn't really hear because the music was too damn loud. The music is too damn loud? Okay. So, Peter, not being able to go home to his apartment, went back to his old room because he has nowhere else to stay, and he has the keys to his house. So he decides to just go into his bedroom and think about what to do. And he thinks back to episode 15. Any minute now. Any minute now. I guess I can talk about the set right there. I took off half of a house, the roof of a house, and put it in the background. Okay, we're going to the flashback. Jeez. And he flashes back to episode 15 when he rescued Norman Osborn from being mugged by a guy because he wanted what was in his suitcase, and we figured that he has something very valuable, and anyone will do anything to get it, like kidnapping his son. And in this scene, I parodied the scene from Star Trek First Contact when Captain Picard is just like, "No! Psh, no!" Psh. And that's why Spider-Man swung in and is like, "Okay, calm down, Captain Picard." So, Spider-Man wants to help Norman Osborn get his son back. And he doesn't exactly know how to do it. But he knows that he knows a little bit of what's going on. He can tell that something valuable is being bargained with for his friend's life, and he wants to stop it. And so he's going to confront Norman Osborn so he can learn as much as he can about the whole situation, because Spider-Man has been sort of left in the dark because he doesn't know everything about, as they will say in this scene, the criminal underground in the city. He knows the bare minimum of things, which is much more than most people in this city know. And it kind of, in this shot right here, you can see Wilson Fisk. You can see his office. You can see the Hobgoblin's cape right there in the background, right there in the window. Did a terrible job of covering that up. I was so lazy with the set design. That's not even a wall back there. I just cut out like gray paper and glued it to like a wall or to like cardboard. No, I think I stuck it to Lego bricks and cut a square through it. So that was very lazy of me. So, yeah, he shows Peter, in 3D rendering of New York City. I don't remember where I got that from, but I obviously didn't make it myself. And here they do make a reference to Daredevil, because Wilson Fisk back in the day would transport illegal substances. Among those, you got drugs, you got weapons, black market things, and as well you got radioactive waste. And that crashed, and it caused the kid to go blind, Matt Murdock. So, in response to the lawsuit, so it will never happen again, Wilson Fisk decided to move things underground, literally underground. And there's this route that Spider-Man can take to infiltrate Fisk Towers. So, I did all this when I was just at the tender age of 16. So that's where all the illegal stuff goes. That's where they drive. Like if it's a truck carrying, I don't know, like cigars from Cuba, then the truck goes through there. Because Wilson Fisk loves his Cuban cigars. That's supposed to be an elevator shaft, people, and that's supposed to be a ventilation vent that's just right above his office. And I did that sort of cutaway thing where they tell you what Spider-Man's going to do by showing you the future, and then they cut back to the current conversation that they're having. And I don't know, I think I got that from Christopher Nolan and a bunch of spy films. I combined that together for this scene because I was very much inspired by those at the time. And I love this shot right here. It's like I'm panning across the city, and then I love that shot so much. Oh, also this episode was I entered this episode in a Lego stop motion contest, and I was nominated for Best Story. I'm always nominated for Best Story because my animation sucked, and the music, the audio was terrible. I don't even know how Sam even was able to hear the story. I guess he picked up on all the things I'm talking about in this commentary, but I think this is very important. So there's Harry up there in a cage thing, and I love this conversation. This is when I first realized I did something with this character that no one has ever done before, and I actually made him, like a 3D character. And so Spider-Man decides to listen in from the vent, as he does in episode 24? 24? Yeah. Okay, so this conversation is all about how Spider-Man isn't afraid of the Kingpin, and neither is Daredevil. So his equation of respect, dominance, and fear that he has over a lot of people, including Norman Osborn, doesn't make any sense when people like Daredevil, who claims to have no fear, and when people like Spider-Man, who laughs at death, laughs death in the face, they disrupt that whole equation, and it will cause his entire criminal empire to slowly but surely crash down to rubble. And the whole thing with fear, bravery, and cowardliness is referenced in episode 28. And those are two different philosophies about fear that the Kingpin has and that Uncle Ben has. And here's the thing. People who are faced with fear, everyone, if they run away from the challenge, they are cowards. If they retain the fear, but continue on with the challenge to endure it, then they are brave. They have courage. And I know I made this video a long time ago, but that's what I was moving towards in episode 28, and what I will show you in episode 29 will hopefully come in full circle. So that'll be a fun thing to watch. And just so you guys know, I don't think this is all that deep or philosophical. It really isn't. I wasn't some sort of prodigy at the time. This is just something that was blatantly obvious to me at the age of 16. So if you think of me as some sort of modern day Shakespeare, go right ahead. I'm not going to stop you. But I strongly disagree with that. This is stuff anyone can pick up on, and I'm sure other people have picked up on this. Sure, later in their life they figured this stuff out, but hey, I knew it back then. It's not that big of a deal. Okay, this is something I feel like I need to say about the Vulture, right, real quick before I end this. There is no sort of contrived political agenda behind this whole thing, and and it's definitely not reflected upon the characters. The characters themselves may have political ideas and religious affiliations or lack thereof, but that does not necessarily reflect upon me. The only thing that it reflects upon is how I want characters to have different ideals, but not necessarily make that the source of evil. It's what the character does with their backgrounds and upbringings that defines their characters. And the Vulture is not a symbol for political satire, right? Buying out, as I said, he buys out, dying companies. And I said, hey, a Vulture preys on dying things. So I'm like, okay, that'll be his business practices. That's where his nickname came from in this particular universe. And recently in the media, a lot of, a couple of corporations, I don't remember how many, have come under fire for the exact same thing I mentioned in episode 19. So you gotta, I immediately went, oh god, I hope no one, draws any dots to me, because I wasn't trying to make any statement. I'm just saying some corporations are good, some corporations are bad. And like I said, it's a person's upbringing, it's that person's character that ultimately decides what they do with that upbringing. So what I'm trying to say is, just because someone's parents, or just because someone is bad does not mean they came from a terrible life. Like, for example, in this episode, the Hobgoblin had a great life. He had a great childhood, went to a great school, had a lot of friends, and he became an asshole. Because he's an asshole. He was born an asshole, and you always will be an asshole. He killed a cop. And to contrast, Wilson Fisk had a terrible childhood. He had a terrible father, and he ended up killing his father later in life, on purpose. And his childhood negatively affected him. So here are these two different people who, yeah, you would expect someone with a terrible childhood to end up evil, as cliched as that is. But here you have the Hobgoblin, who had a great life, but he was born an asshole, and he always will be an asshole. And here they both are in the same room with similar agendas, because they're terrible people. And that's what I'm trying to say. Your character defines you, not your upbringing, not your religion sometimes, and not your race, not your, if you came from a family of means or not. It's your character, because it's the whole nature versus nurture debate, and I unknowingly did that in this episode. Like I said, things that were just obvious to me at the time. I can't judge someone based on where they came from. That's whittling down someone, a whole group of people to the lowest denominator, and you take away their character, their individuality, and say, you will always be this because you grew up in this neighborhood, or you will always be this because of the color of your skin, or your religion, or your wealth, or lack thereof. And so that's how I saw things back then, and that's how I still see things, because I wasn't born an asshole, at least. Okay, maybe I was, but, yeah, I am. I'm a terrible person, guys. I'm a terrible person. You would hate me in real life. You really freaking would. Okay, so that's the end of this commentary. I'll upload part 2 sometime later, maybe right after this one. Be on the lookout for it. Okay, bye.